Let's get it. I'm trying to put money in your pocket, that crypto wallet, that bing bada bing ching ching big profit. Even when the market's sideways, I'm looking for ways to get paid. I'm checking my coins around breakfast, then again around bedtime. Bet this, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. 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 I'm always right.
What is going on, true believers? I hope you're having a great morning. My name is Bleaves. We're here to talk about this crazy crypto world, and the state of crypto is sideways right now. The market has started to move in a chop fashion, which, hey, man, whatever, bro, whatever. Inflation, it turns out, very sticky. Inflation has gone up, or as Donald Trump says, down. So yeah, this is the second straight month where we've had upward momentum on inflation. So it's not a great sign. This is all the data that Jerome Powell needs at this point to not pull the cord on rate cuts. So back to the drawing board, Donald Trump. What are you doing? And by the way, we are approximately 14 days away from the Fed meeting. And again, the data doesn't look good, but and Donald Trump is going to have to really pull the ripcord here, help us out and give us a Fed chair who will do what's necessary for cryptocurrency. Now, it doesn't mean that he should be doing it for cryptocurrency, by the way. I do want to preface that because I think that's kind of important to bring up here. Just cutting the rates, that's going to give us a short-term pump, but it's also going to lead to massive inflation, by the way, just for full disclosure, or at least that's what it should look like. But who knows what's going on? So first of all, thank you to DGen Brian, mod in the community, always here every day, going hard in the paint. Make sure you put a comment in the comment section. Thank you so much for tuning in. I appreciate you guys every single day. Also, the most important thing that you can do to help me, other than share this content with everybody, is to hit that like button on your way in. Today, we're going to be talking about XRP. I gave you a prediction of XRP at $25. And the question is, am I going to stick with that, or do I need to start to alter my opinion of what's going on with XRP? So let's break it down. Let's get into it. Again, I'm still at the spot where I'm working on basically everything here. I can't get anything to work exactly like I want it to, but I did make a move. I did move the studio just a little bit, so less green halo in the background, and that's a good thing. So June CPI inflation rises to 2.7%, above expectations of 2.6. Bad sign. Core CPI inflation rises to 2.9, below expectations of 3.0. CPI inflation in the United States is now up for 2 straight months for the first time since January of 2025. The Fed pause will continue. So in just 2 months, this is hashtag MAGA. In just 2 months, CPI inflation in the U.S. has risen from 2.3% to 2.7%. Critics will blame tariffs. Praisers will blame base effects. Regardless, the Fed will not cut interest rates this month. So what we thought we were going to get, we are not going to get. Now, here's the other part to that. When you look at the market was down about $90 billion on the day to lead us off. It's now down $37 billion at this point. So we've actually seen a reversal, and the reversal is coming in the altcoins. So Bitcoin dragging down, had a little dip down here to about 116,000, ripped back up to 118. It really looks like the market wants to continue. So I do think that we might be getting a continuation of this. Looking around, look at Ethereum. Ethereum, just in the last few minutes, look at what's happening right at this moment. Ethereum was dragging down as well. and then about an hour ago just started to bang out, starting to go to that all-time high. That is a sign that altcoin season could be right here on the horizon as these Bitcoin profits are taken. Now, the realization of whether or not Bitcoin has reached the top and whether it's going to start ranging is the question. It just tested 123,183. Now, the question is, will it break that and continue on, or are we done? Have we reached the top of this range? By the way, look at how close we got to my next surge. Like, guys, I gave you what I thought was going to be the next surge, 124,096. This move is not completed yet, or at least it doesn't look like it's completed yet. So we shall see whether this works out or not. And by the way, I went back and looked at this one more time. There is not a bearish divergence on Bitcoin. We're still in bullish mode. RSI, as you can see down here, kind of dipping, leading us to an absolute possibility of surge on the 1 hour. Same thing with the MACD. MACD also flipping bullish right there, and we're back into the green. So it looks like the market is preparing for another surge. Now, with that being the case, the question is, how high can we go? Can we test that all-time high? Well, let's go back to the other level of interest and intrigue that we've been talking about, and that is that move up to 132,000, which goes in line with, on the daily, that again, we talked about this yesterday, that surge is following in that little path right there all the way up to the next level. So 132,000 looks like it's going to be in the cards. Looks like it might just blast through 124,096. If that happens, I'm going to be mad, because that's going to be the full take profit for my Bitcoin long. And by the way, the reason that I'm not holding it for longer, I wanted to fulfill that surge to 124,096. But once I get that funding done, then I want to hold on to it, because that'll be about, I think we'll have about $800. So we will have turned in 2.5 months, $100 into $800. So now in 2.5 months, can we 8x $800 and turn that into $6,400? Like, that's really the question right now. So as we get into the bull run, as we get into this, here's what's going to happen. Okay. I want to start giving you some price points, and I want to start giving you some targets. But before we do that, let's talk about this piece of news that just came out. So just a little while ago, the House Rules Committee passed a rule allowing the consideration of crypto bills on the floor. So this gives us the Clarity Act, which is what we've been looking for right here. So the Clarity Act is going to be able to be voted on. The Genius Act is going to be able to be voted on. And the Anti-CBDC Surveillance State Act is also going to be voted on. Now, why do these things matter? First of all, the Genius Act is and by the way, how brilliant is it that Donald Trump called himself a stable genius, and then they turned the Stable Coin Act into the Stable Genius Act? What a brilliant strategy right there. Donald Trump forever will be now known as the guy who got stablecoin legislation through. So the Genius Act looks like it's probably going to pass, which is a very good thing right there. We've got a meet in the House. What's going on, man? So Anti-CBDC Surveillance Act, this is the one that's going to be a sticky one. And the reason for this right here is, let's go down the list here. We've got USDT, we've got USDC, we've got USDG, we've got RLUSD, we've got a bunch of them. We got BUSD. There's a lot of stable coins out there, and they're growing by the day. Now, what does that mean? Well, that means that everybody is going to have their own dollar-pegged crypto assets. So that's going to create competition. Competition enhances performance. So we're looking for that one, right? USDC, a distant number 2, but it won't stay that way. Stable coins are here to stay. Stable coins are going to be the future of finance. And by the way, if you are United States bound like myself, this is probably one of the best things you could possibly see happening for the United States at this point. And let me explain why. Most stable coins are stable pegged to the US dollar. What does that do? That creates more importance, if you will, on the price of the US dollar. Okay. what do these guys are looking for guaranteed returns, okay? And what are they doing? They're putting their assets and their money into U.S. treasuries, which is backing up the U.S. dollar, which means from a very simple standpoint, this is an amazing moment in time. This is a great opportunity for the U.S. to reassert dollar dominance. Remember, it wasn't that long ago we had the BRICS people break away. We had Brazil, Russia, India, China breaking away, and they're creating their own. They're trying to devalue the U.S. dollar, right? They're trying to break us away from the dollar system in the world. And what we're doing right now with the Stablecoin Act is reasserting U.S. dominance and the power of the U.S. dollar. Now, it does take a lot to get that to work, but we're on the path to doing it. So that Genius Act, very important. Anti-CBD Surveillance State Act. The reason that one is so important is because, listen, here we are. We're at the moment in time where all these USD, all these backed stable coins are coming out right now. But what we also know is that Bank of America has its own stable coin, that Chase has its own stable coin, that Wells Fargo has its own stable coin. All of these guys are wanting to work together to create a single stable coin. By the way, it's not a CBDC by definition, but it is. That is a central bank digital currency. The difference here is that the Fed, which is the central bank, will not be issuing it. The banks would be issuing it. There's no way that so here's the thing. If these banks control your money, plain and simple, if these banks control your money, these banks will decide for you whether or not you can spend that money as well. This will give them the ability to track you. This will give them the ability to just kind of hold out there for you. Guys, listen, this is very, very difficult because you don't know exactly how they're going to design it. We're going to have to see the details. We're going to have to see what it does. But basically what we're talking about is the banks, the US banks, are going to get together. They're going to create their own stable coin. That stable coin will then be controlled by those banks, which means that they will have control. Okay. So if you are found to be stealing from somebody or something like that, well, they can just stop your stable coins. They can just pause your ability to use stable coins. That means that the government now has control over your money. That's why this is so important. We cannot have the government involved in everything that you do in your daily life. That is where we lead to huge problems in the world. By the way, make sure if you're here that you hit the like button on the way in. Also, the most important part, I think, for everybody is Digital Asset Market Clarity Act. The Clarity Act is the one that creates the rules and regulations for cryptocurrency. Now, they wanted to get this passed by August recess. I don't know if these things are going to be, but I have a feeling right now that everybody is getting together and that they are going to pass all of these bills one after the other during this week. We are day 2 into crypto week in the United States. So be watching for this. These are huge things, by the way, and we may not see it for a little while. But you know what we will see, because it just happened a little while ago? XRP is now listed with ProShares Ultra ETF. This is, guys, this is where we're starting to see this massive move in the market. And oh my goodness. And Young Jay says, can you do Sonic versus Psy? We could do that and check it out and see what it looks like. Sonic. All right, so I don't know if that's from a market cap standpoint. You know what? If I do something like this, it's going to have to be a deeper dive, because that's not enough to really go on. So we'll have to look at the difference between them. I'm not a fan. I'm not a fan of some of this stuff, so I don't know enough about it to really talk too much. So I'm gonna have to leave that one for the next stream. But I will take the time today. Let's take this and drop it in here, and we're going to research that in the next 24 hours. And you know what? Come back tomorrow, and we'll talk about Psy versus Sonic and which is the better one. But back to XRP. XRP now has an ETF. Now, what does this mean? Well, they've got until September or October to approve the real ETFs, but we have futures listings already. And that means this really, I think this means that we are definitely going to get it. The question right now is, when are we going to get it? Or is the SEC going to take its full time? Is it going to, look through all of the data and make a decision towards the end? Or are they going to say, we've got enough data right now and we can just go ahead and launch these? By the way, don't forget, if they do this, the most likely play out here is going to be a dump into this and then a massive pump going forward. Now, what's the massive pump going to look like? Well, let's talk about that right now before we get into the crypto bubbles, because this is about XRP. Now, I gave you guys what I think is going to happen. What I think is going to happen is we're about to get a surge, and I think this surge, by the way, is going to take us right up into that range right there. So I think that you're going to see right there. So what I'm trying to say is, I think over the next month or two, we could see right there between $6 and $7.50 for XRP. And by the way, that sounds crazy when you look at it by market cap. It's 173 billion market cap. Now, here's the thing. We're starting to see strength from Ethereum. Now that we're seeing strength from Ethereum and strength from Bitcoin, we're getting closer and closer to altcoin season. What happens in altcoin season? These big caps start to fly. We are right on that cusp. And then I think we see Trump's meme coin passing Doge, currently at a 29 billion market cap. Okay. So I think we're about to see some crazy stuff start to happen. Now, in the event that Ethereum does what I expect it to do, and by the way, the Ethereum staking comes before the XRP listing. I do want to say, I think that the staking is more important right now than the XRP ETF. So bear that in mind. All right. But then I think that takes Ethereum all the way up to about $1 trillion market cap. I think that we're going to see about an $8,000 Ethereum very rapidly. Like, I don't think we're even prepared for that kind of move. Okay. But it is coming, and I think we're going to get it, and it will start with the approval of the staking. Once that happens, that clears the way for the rest of the market. It will cause a surge in Bitcoin, because Bitcoin is not going to like the Bitcoin maxis are not going to like the fact that Ethereum is catching up, and they're going to be motivated and incentivized to hodl a little bit longer, to hold, to cause more price appreciation on Bitcoin. Because, we're going to talk about the flippening. We're going to talk about all that kind of stuff that, it's cyclical. It comes back around, and it's coming back around. So we'll be talking about a flippening between Ethereum and Bitcoin. Spoiler alert, that's not going to happen. I don't think it's going to happen. So we could see a nice 3x on Ethereum to 9,000. But if we see that happen, then we probably see about a 6x for XRP short term. 6x on 3 is about $18. So there is a crazy amount of interest in XRP right now, and it's building up. Now, if we look at it from a historic standpoint, and we go back to, and this is what I told you guys before, if we look at it historically, then we look at the bottom to the top over here on our last run, and we look at it from just a full Fibonacci sort of basis, right? Then we're looking at the 1618. That is the perfect zone, right? That's where that is our golden zone. There's our next target zone. It is above that at $8.20 off of this last impulse move, with the ultimate play out all the way up here at 4.236, giving us about a $16. But if you go and you use the previous bottom over here, which expands the brand, and you add this in right here, and you do that, then you come up with a better number up here near the top. So ultimately, I think we end up at $25. Also, I changed the way I'm using it. I'm not using logarithmic anymore. So things are just slightly, you might notice that things have slightly changed just a little bit. The ultimate goal is $25. Now, if that were to happen, we're talking about an 8x from where we are. That puts them at $1 trillion market cap. That's the important part. And I think we should realize $1 trillion market cap is in the cards. And by the way, when I say that I think we're going to $6 to $7, I think we're going immediately. Like, I think that we're going to see the FOMO build, and then we're going to see that just magical moment. Now, the FOMO build up to the deadline is the important part. And the FOMO build up to the deadline, I think, is going to take us to 420. Why? Because people are potheads. That's just really, I mean, like, that's just science, bro. So what I think is going to happen is we're going to hit this right here. That's our next target, because it's crypto, and crypto bros are weed heads. Or do I say weed heads, or do I say marijuana heads, or do I say junkies? Marijuana weeders, whatever. Anyway, so I think we're going to have a surge here to 420. Then that's where we get the correction. Most likely, that's where we get that launch, and then boom, then we get that absolute parabolic breakout. And by the way, when I say that we're going to get that absolutely parabolic breakout, let's go back and let's look at Bitcoin as our thesis behind that. And we look at, when did the ETF get launched? Okay, so we had a FOMO build because we were talking about the ETF, right? We got that FOMO build, a little bit of a build. Same thing that happened with, as a matter of fact, let's drop this one over here. Let's change this one to XRP. We're doing the same thing, okay? Just to give you guys some clarity here. It's not even close, by the way. Like, it's almost identical. So there's the FOMO build for the ETF, okay? So right here is where, ETF is coming. This is where we get the ETF. Then we get this dump, and then we get this massive breakout. And that's when everything goes just absolutely parabolic. So if we look at it from that context, then we've got, 26,000 Bitcoin up to 125. That's a 6x. Well, what does a 6x do over here? A 6x over here takes us to 50 cents. So about $3 or $4. We're already at that level. So now we have to consider what is going to happen after this consolidation. And by the way, it looks like we're getting that breakout up to the top of that range, right? So if we look at it from all right, so we're going to use a trend line. I know it's stupid, but we're doing it because it's my stupid show. So right there, up to the top of that range, right there. To me, that means 420 hits us right about there. We're on the path to 420 right now. I mean, literally right now, we bang up in the next couple of days, 420. So, and really, it's silly. I know it's silly, but it's symmetry, and I like symmetry. Makes me feel good. Gives me all the feels that I need in order to survive the day. So, there you have it. Like, that's what I think is going on right now. So ultimately, XRP, $25. That takes it to, I want to say, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 1.5 trillion market cap. I want to say, like, I did this math before. I just don't remember it at this moment. But that's what we're on the path for. So I suspect that we're going to see a test of the all-time high very, very shortly. And then I think we're going to see a breakout, and it's going to be 420. And then all you bros are going to start snickering to yourselves like, hey, 420, bro. You know what I mean? Like, ha, you know what I mean? That's going to happen. And then the rest of the market take off as well. You know what I mean? So let's see what goes on. You know what I mean? Like, it really could be an interesting time. Now let's go to our chat bubbles. I did not know that this chat bubble thing are crypto bubbles. I think that's owned by Crypto Banter. Gross. All right, so Pengu up 21%, becoming one of the top meme coins. Here's the funny thing about Pengu. Pengu actually has real world application. People know what Pengu is. Pengu is partnered with, and their plushies have come out. They've got a game coming out. Like, they're in the public lexicon already. So Dogecoin, public lexicon. Pepe, public lexicon. Shiba Inu, public lexicon. Pengu, public lexicon. Trump, public lexicon. which one of those is going to be the first one to 100 billion? That becomes the question. Well, the most valuable of all of these in terms of real world value and not BS, the most valuable is already Pengu. But Pengu only has a 2 billion market cap right now. I think it's got a lot of room to go, especially when we get into the banana zone, when there's a lot of money going around. Oh, there we go. Banter did their own version of it. I stand corrected. Somebody mentioned the bubbles just a little while ago. They mentioned the bubbles like Crypto Banter, and I was like, oh shit, am I using that? God damn it, by the way, the fact that Crypto Banter copied somebody else's idea, that makes perfect sense right there. And by the way, don't these crypto bubbles look like Rand's eyes? I'm just messing around. What's he gonna do? You know what I mean? He's gonna be like, I can't. He'll be like, I can't believe you just said that about me, and I'll be like, you're only 3 feet tall. What the? And then he's gonna be like, whatever, bro. You know what I mean? In my mind, that's the way it's gonna go. So, anyway, back to I'm losing my mind today, guys. Anyway, so up 22% on the day, BDX up 24%, useless up 24%. Starting to see, again, little moves, little breakouts. Aura's up 30% on the day. So even on a red day, a slightly red day, we're still getting some nice move. Stick up 139%. When are we going to see that from Dev E? Like, come on, guys. Cross up 45%. ZRC up 11%. Gear up 24%. Ha 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 for all you guys who work out. TAC 20%. Boom, 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 boom. Yeah, I don't see Devi. Devi's not lighting it up yet. Still waiting for that breakout on Dev E. By the way, I talked to Grok yesterday. I asked Grok what they predicted Devi price. It was between $25 and $70 for Devi. That was their prediction. It was based on all the information. If they partner with NASDAQ, which I think that's the, if they partner with them, then that's going to be the catalyst that drives it absolutely crazy. Okay. So, and nothing else, by the way, I don't think is going to make that type of new move happen. And by the way, look at this over here. This is a sign that it might be time to sell, by the way. Okay. I'm going to show you this right now, and you can see it. Zoom in right there. We had the exchange reserves was 2.4 million. It's back up to 2.43 million. So people are selling their Bitcoin, putting it back on exchanges. So the exchange reserves are starting to increase. That's not a great sign for long-term Bitcoin price. I just got to be honest with you guys. People are going to be motivated to sell. They're putting their money back on exchanges because they want to dump. Okay. That's what that means, by the way. So 24-hour volume on DEXs picking up dramatically. BSC still, for some reason, while these other ones are picking up dramatically, they still have only 5.7 billion. It's weird, isn't it? Something's going on at BSC, guys. Look, I don't have any respect for for Binance. All right, they stole from you. They did everything possible to rip you off. And I know that a lot of you like CZ Binance, and I know that you liked him even while he was in prison. Some of you may even dated him in prison. I don't know. But they stole and scammed from American companies. Just to be fair here, the reason that I don't respect Binance is because what Binance did in their quest was greed-based, and it was not fair play. They lied, deceived, and manipulated all investors to think that they had more volume. They pumped cryptos themselves. They pumped their own bags themselves. They profited along the way. They turned CZ Binance into one of the richest men in the world, not because of, again, part of it because he's in crypto. The other part because they were manipulating people in crypto. Not fair, and I don't like it, and I'm glad that he went to jail for it. So, I don't respect Binance, and now all of a sudden they've got this wild sort of volume while everybody else is hoping. You know what I mean? All right, so bull market peak indicators, we're at 0 of 30, which means that we are still in that market. So there you go. We are still in 100% hold territory. What's up, Tony P? Appreciate you coming in, man. I thanks, man. And I apologize. I don't stop my show because you've got something that you want me to look at. Look, if my time is, look, I got your time. I appreciate your time. If you don't think that it's valuable, if you don't think that what I want to cover is valuable, I appreciate you stopping by and checking it out anyway. It's okay. So bull market indicators all positive right now. ETF flows yesterday. What happened? More inflows, but the inflows are starting to slow down. Ethereum ETF, not only, just guys, you can't even, I can't even tell you, 259 million in inflows for the Ethereum ETF every day. Every day this thing is lighting up. 5.6 billion now. We are so far up from where we were before. It is absolutely insane. Do you see how this is happening right now? And remember, a lot of this happens and you don't see it pump immediately with price action, but you know that mass adoption is happening. You know that this is going on. So now the question becomes, when do we actually see the price action? And look, Bitcoin has to run a little bit hotter, I think, in order for that money to cascade back down. Bitcoin out 117,390. The US market looks like it is starting to dump. Dow Jones down 245. Crypto, which was starting to reverse again, looks like in the last few minutes. Let's see what it looks like on the few-minute calendar here. Last few minutes, last 30 minutes, starting to have a couple of big red candles. So we'll see what happens there. But just one of those days where we're going to consolidate in range, most likely, and we'll see how it goes. But overall, way up. So on our deck screener, we've got DevE having a little bit of a move, not sustained. Blocky having a nice move. By the way, you guys remember yesterday I bought more Blocky. Today, Blocky pumping. We sold, also starting to pump a little bit. We sold, by the way, a few minutes ago, was actually up pretty significantly until we got that sell-off. That sell-off came. It looks like, by the way, it's stair-stepping, and they're releasing their first whatever thing in the next little while. So, maybe we'll see a little pump off of that one today. I actually have a plan to take profit on it. Same thing with Blocky. If you guys remember, I bought yesterday at 31 or 2 days ago at 31. So now we're up, we're up about 10% on that one, but I want to say it was only like $500. So it wasn't a lot that I put in there, but $50 pays for gym membership for a month, I guess. So making money off of it. Now I would like to see a good reversal. I would like to see a nice little 10x off of this reversal back up to test that all-time high and get back into that range. And I do think that's coming. I don't know exactly when it would be coming. Really kind of waiting for Roger. Roger is in fact kind of waiting people out right now because, again, we made a little bit of mistake in the beginning when we, did so many airdrops to people, try to convince people to come over and hold this. And those guys just, turns out those guys are not holders. Those guys are dumpers, and that's what happened, So waiting this out to see what happens here. Once we've established a floor, then I think you're going to see a market reversal. And remember, there's a lot of people that know what this project is because it was featured on Altcoin Daily. It's not necessarily in that, again, public lexicon yet, but it's got a great narrative. It's got a slick design. It's got something else coming out very, very shortly, which could, again, lead to a nice price appreciation. I had a conversation with Roger. I will, full disclosure, he and I did talk about this new project, and I gave him my opinion about what I think should happen on that new project. So we'll see how close that gets and how close that aligns to what I think should happen. And, if that does take place, it's going to be awesome. In my opinion, it's going to be awesome. So we'll keep you informed as we do at all times about that. CC Coin. If you haven't already, get yourself some CC Coin. Don't forget, this ecosystem continues to it continues to entertain, and it continues to be one of those. It's expanding in a crazy sort of way. You got CC Cash, you've got Blockchain Beauties, you've got CC Coin, and you've got CCR. You've got the CC Rewards, and you've got Bud 2, which is, where the fuck is Bud 2? why is Bud 2 not on my list anymore? I keep putting stuff on my list and it keeps disappearing. Like, I don't understand what's happening here. I really do not. Like, I keep putting it on watch lists and just like, I don't know. Anyway, where's Bud 2 today? Bud 2 is down about 3% on the day. So if you hold Bud 2, I think Bud 2 rewards. Oh, God damn it. It's because I suck. That's why. Bud 2, you hold Bud 2, you receive CC coin. CC Cash, you hold CC Cash and you receive Solana as your reward. You stake your CCC, you receive CCR. So in order to stake your CC coins, you pair them with Solana. And that, of course, that helps to pump the price and hold that floor at a really nice level. So if you are part of it, if you're in there, then lucky you. Again, I think this is another one where, people are just going to find it at some point. Also, we're going to be doing the giveaway. Don't forget. So sign up at Terra Casino. Link should be in the description down below. We're going to be doing some giveaways, probably $100 to different winners. And it's going to be some risk money. So all you have to do, like, even if you don't like this, just do a spin one time for $100. If it 36s, if you hit, put it all on red 3 or black 3, whatever it is, and it wins, then that's 36x on your money in one. And by the way, you're gambling every day on these meme coins to begin with. So we're not recreating the wheel. Also, if you want the Believes token is available through terraport.finance right now. So if you want to check that out, again, not supported. I'm not doing anything with it. It's just, You know what I mean? So I'm not doing anything with it, but it is out there and you guys can have fun with it if you want. We had somebody who pumped it up like crazy, unbonded it the other day. And then we saw a little bit of a sell-off, same person doing the sell-off, and that's okay. So, it's like mine is worth a couple million Luna Classic right now, and I've already cashed out and made my profit to begin with. And really, I didn't make profit. I just got more coins, and the profit right now is just kind of sitting there. And if something happens and Luna Classic pumps and it pumps and stuff like that, and it creates value, then cool. If it doesn't, it was just for me on TerraPump.fun anyway. As far as the validators go, a lot going on with validators. If you're in Luna Classic, you should be a little concerned today, in my opinion, because if I show you this right here, 18 billion just got unstaked. 20 billion unstaked, 2 billion unstaked, 4 billion unstaked, 1 billion unstaked, all the way down to 61.2 billion unstaked, 3.9 billion unstaked. Now let's look at what got staked. And by the way, we're only going to go in the top 15 or so for that purpose, right? 1.6 billion staked, 1.1 billion staked, 240 million staked, 102 million staked, and 1.44 billion. That is not even close. Okay. So that's an alarming sort of number right there. Staking ratio right now is at 13.78. So I just like it. That would have me, that has me wondering exactly what's going on. Okay. That really does have me worried about what's going on. 21-day unbonding period. And they're not unstaking it. So in 3 weeks, somebody might be timing a massive sell-off. I don't know that to be the case. I don't know that for sure. But I am watching it, wondering, trying to figure out what's going on. As far as DevE goes, by the way, we're not doing too much in covering other than, hey, why don't you pump? You know what I mean? But it's at 45 cents right now, rejected off of 60 cents. By the way, this is what you would expect, right? This is exactly what you would expect to see happen right there. Came down to the 786 and then immediately reversed off of the 786 off of that last impulse move. So if we didn't get in on the breakout right here, then we could get in right here at that 786 and make that move, right? So that's exactly kind of what happened. So, maybe this is, maybe it's kind of time right now. So we could see the start of a reversal. Now, I don't know that that's the case. Again, like what we need to see is, and what we have not seen yet is we got the bottom, if that's the bottom, and then we got a higher low over here. We had higher tops over here. which looks like it might be trying to press and get up a little bit higher. When you see that, that's usually the start of a rally. So, takes a little bit of confirmation for that. What we need to see is now a move up into 60 cents and a break above 60 cents with a back test on it. And then boom, there you go. That's what's going to happen. Thoughts on SHIB versus Pepe, which is going to hit a penny first. All right. So in order for SHIB's going to do that, I don't even need to guess. I don't even need to guess. Okay. First of all, based on pure market cap, there's no possible way for either of them to hit a penny, but SHIB has the advantage of built-in burn mechanisms that are burning every single day. So it clearly SHIB is the one that's going to go to a penny. Now, in the attention economy, we're not really seeing attention being paid to Shiba Inu. We're not really seeing a lot of attention being paid to Pepe, but we are seeing, and Ortis Drain says nothing burger till regs, baby. And if that were true, Bitcoin wouldn't have just hit 123,000 because Bitcoin was at 74,000 2 months ago. So that's not true. Also, 6 months ago, XRP was at 50 cents. XRP is at $3 today. So if that were true, then that wouldn't have happened. So that's not true. It's limited. We're not seeing that crazy blow off, but it's not true. When we look at price, again, perspective is everything. It depends on where you buy. If you bought the top of something, everything is a bear market. If you bought the bottom, everything is a bull market. It's plain and simple, right? If you the other day bought your SHIB at, what is this, 401, and you're at 4014 right now, if you're there, or you're at 13, you're up 30%. You're up 30% on your bag from 2 weeks ago. So that's, and look, that's not 3x, that's not 10x, that's not 100x, but that's profit. You put 10 grand in there, you got $3,000 extra in profit right now. If you take your 10,000 out, then you can go put it in something else, and you got a $3,000 bag of SHIB in order to play with. So, making money in crypto is actually pretty easy. You just have to actually go make the money and not be afraid. And then make sure that you do it in a responsible fashion. Don't put yourself in a bad situation. Make sure you're buying dips when the dips come, when the opportunity presents itself. And every time you see strong bounce, go find something with strong bounces, catch it at the bottom, and then wait for that next strong bounce. Like, for example, it looks like right here, we've got this Solana probably going to correct down to $143, $144, be a great opportunity to buy at that point, but it could also break down to this line right here at 122. So if you're looking for it, maybe set a buy order at $123 just to see what happens. And then if you get a buy on this one, then here's what you get. Boom, strong bounce, 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 boom, even stronger bounce, boom, strong bounce. So every single time, you just have to find that range that makes you feel comfortable, and then buy, and then don't be afraid to sell and make your profit. Look, there's in many of these situations, there is no chance. There's no chance that you're going to make 1,000x. Okay, so every time you throw $100 at something, that doesn't mean you're going to come out with $100,000. If you put $100 into a project and it goes up by 2x, and you have $200 and you take your $100 back out, you didn't make any profit, but now you have more crypto. All right. And you continue to accumulate crypto that way. It's actually a very easy way to do it. And dead cat bounce. That actually makes a little bit of sense right there to see maybe a dead cat bounce here right now, because again, we need clarity from the market. And we don't have it yet. We've got the week here, but look what's happening right now. I think the market is telling us that it's about to end. Okay. It looks like it's about to have that blow off top. We're having a big breakout right here, right now. You know what? Just to line this up a little bit better. Yeah, no, actually it's lined up as good as it needs to be. Global liquidity seems to be drying up right here. It's coming back down. So we've got a blow off top coming very, very soon. The question is how far is that blow off top going to go? So, if we look at it from the same context, and we can't, we can look at the move, and we can try to, we try to eyeball it and say, well, it looks like this right here, and it looks like this move right here. We could predict what we think is going to happen here, but that's very, very tough, So, and then if we kind of, how do we zoom here? Maybe looking at waka waka waka. It hits 132,000. What do you know? Son of a bitch. Isn't that crazy? Like, it literally says in September 132,000. So, and by the way, that's not science. That's not science. That's just me kind of eyeballing what's going on the chart right now. So maybe we're going to see a big move here. Anyway, 132,000 looks like the next spot. I want to see that run back towards 124,096. Fingers crossed. You know what I mean? Just fingers crossed, just because I want to see that take profit hit at exactly that number. Then I want to see it dump like legendary. Legend, wait for it, dairy. Also, if we look at it from this context, right there, then it looks like we would have a correction coming down as low as 104,000, maybe even 108,000. If we get just some real bad news somewhere, we start a war or something, then, Trump's, look, if we start bombing Iran, for Mr. Peaceful, I want the Nobel Peace Prize for bombing a country. Is that not crazy to you? That's not crazy to you? It doesn't seem crazy to you to be like, I think I deserve a Nobel Peace Prize. Oh yeah, here, taste this fucking bomb. That doesn't seem crazy to you? Okay, all right, no problem. By the way, that doesn't mean that I think Obama deserved it either. We're all warmongers. So, anyway, bullish right now. A massive retest, by the way. Let's not forget here, if we go to 132,000, look for this kind of massive breakdown right there. What we really saw right here was this extension right there. So I think we got another test going up a little bit more. Then we got a sell down right there. I don't think it'll be very much. I think, but there's a possibility coming down into 95, 96,000 and then having another big breakout and another big move. It's a question of timing at this point. When does the end of this market look like it's going to happen? And really right now it looks like November. But because of mass adoption, because Bitcoin is doing what it do, and because the rest of crypto is tied into it, there's a real possibility that we get another right here, a run through June of next year in order to capitalize on tax season. Now, the reason that I want to bring that up and say that might happen is because going back over here to 2021, do you know what you saw? You saw that breakdown, right? That breakdown happened in November of 2021. It's moving forward. We're a little bit longer on this. So we've got this right here. And I think we're still in this part of the cycle. I think we're still in this part of the cycle because everything has been kind of elongated and weighted out. So I think that we get that double top a little bit later on. Okay. This November. So this is now November. And then this is like June of 2026. That's my opinion right now. I don't really have a lot of science to back that up at this point because, the way the market is playing out, like if you look at it from, I'll put it this way. If you look at it from my perspective, and I want you to just pay attention to what I think. And that is, it's getting bigger because it's been more volatile and we're growing as an asset class, right? But top here, top here, top here, top here, real top here, and then a breakdown, a massive breakdown going into the beginning of the next year. And then January hits and boom, we have the blow off top. That's what makes sense to me when I look at the charts right now. So could I be wrong with that? Yes. Do I think that I'm wrong? No. Could it be June? It could be April. Could be May. Might be, it's, again, tax money. Trapping people in for their tax money. And by the way, when you do that, you get stuff like this over here. Like look at March of 2022. Even though the bull market was over, even though Bitcoin had already dipped back down, boom, we got this other back test right here where we went from 3 trillion market cap down to one, cut in half, went down 50%, and then boom, retested back up another 33%. So that's going to happen too. That will happen too. And by the way, just for full clarity's sake here, I want you to look at this market structure, and I want you to let's remove. We're going to remove a little bit here, but I want you to look at this. Tell me that doesn't look like most meme coins. Seriously, tell me that doesn't look like most meme coins. Most meme coins, they get their double top, then they break down, and then you wait for that next big move, right? And then that next big move comes, and boom, 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 you start to break out, right? If I were to come over here and look at something like, I don't know, Blocky, boom, double top, now it's doing that. They all do the same thing. Like, you know, it's markets. Part of market sentiment is being able to predict what people are going to do. And it's not easy to predict what people are going to do, but also it's pretty easy to predict what people are going to do. What you cannot predict is what the developer is going to do. Like, for example, Roger might get an exchange listing at a moment's notice, and then boom, the whole thing explodes, or nothing happens. So, you know, we'll see what we'll see on each and every one of these. But I mean, again, you know, you go back again, use that as that as an example. What about SHIB? One top, two top, dump. Now we're doing some retest, right? And then, you know, hopefully, again, you know, these things have got to have some something behind them. You know what? Let me get rid of the MAs real quick and just look at it from a structure standpoint. Boom, double top, came down. By the way, look at this. This is I just showed you the crypto market. Boom, double top, that test in March, and then down, 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 down. By the way, this was not March of 2022, but this was July of 2024. Boom, 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 and then all-time high again, and then back down, and then boom, 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 breaking, getting ready for another all-time high. That's altcoin season coming, and you can see it getting ready to play out. All of these cryptos look very, very similar from that regard. So you're going to see that happen along the way. So that's it. That's the show. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. My long positions right now, OM. I'm still on OM. I now have multiple bags of OM. Also, again, we're still holding that Bitcoin long, waiting for 124.096. Then we're going to take profit off of that, and we'll see what happens from there. Hopefully we get a breakdown. We can enter into, by the way, I want to keep that into Bitcoin for a little while, see how that plays out. What I'd like to see, by the way, just so you guys understand, if I can get a moment where the market breaks down, and if we can get that 124, and then we can sideline those funds for just a little bit, and we start to see the market breaking down, which I think it will, then we could see the fear and greed index go back down to 30. So if we can do that, then I'm going to 5x that money into Bitcoin one more time at 30, and then we're going to sell at 70 again. We're going to follow the pattern that I keep telling you is the most profitable pattern of all, and that's what we'll do. So that's it. Thank you so much for tuning in, and remember, it's not financial advice, but I'm always right. You guys take care.